Hey, what's going on, Lou?
Yeah, I got it without a hitch this time. No delay, nothing. So perfect.
Cool.
At last.
When we get off the show, bud, can you give me your phone number so I can text you some stuff?
Now,
Oops.
there we go.
How you guys both doing?
We're pretty all right.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Everybody ready for Christmas? Everyone got their shopping done and all that stuff?
Yeah, my
Yes.
shopping's been done for a couple of weeks. Yep, packages have been mailed,
Well,
and
yeah, and of course, my girlfriend and I, we have our own holiday as well.
Cool.
Yeah,
there
we
you
call
go.
we call it Christmaka.
Nice.
Christmas.
Nice.
Well, I'm Christian, she's Jewish, so combined together, and they're both at the same time this year for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, I noticed that. I saw that Hanukkah was going to be late this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first time in about 8 years, and I believe Alex is here. I think.
No, is it?
Yeah, I messaged him earlier. He's still doing with his injury. There he is. What's
He's
going on,
here.
brother?
Hell yeah. Hey, buddy.
He's
Happy
playing injured
Thursday. Here
tonight.
we go. How's everyone doing? Good?
All
We're
right.
pretty all right.
Well, I did the show once injured. I came down with that thing,
Oh yeah.
if you recall.
Oh, wow.
So I played sick as a dog.
Hey, got to muscle
Oh,
through it, right? We got to get through it.
Yeah, power through.
Every day a little bit stronger.
Every day a little bit
Brad,
stronger.
how's the weather out there, man? In the Sunshine State. I was just talking to my
It
mom.
was.
Pretty
It's
decent
in
over
the.
in.
It's in the high 70s.
Okay. Okay.
It's supposed to be 72 on Christmas Day, which is fine with me as long as it's not 80.
Yeah.
We're good. I'll take
I was
70.
Katie.
And
So
I know
I'll
Lou
take
and I are
80.
over here. How about you out there, Adam? Out in Tennessee.
It's been wet all week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It warmed back up into the 60s this week, and then it decided to rain like the sun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been wet all week, but it's been relatively warm.
Sounds
Lucky
good.
you.
Hey, you got to shovel rain.
There you go.
No, you don't have
So guys, I've been trying to oh, wait a minute. Did I lose everybody? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's very dark.
to. Darn.
There you three are. I can see you, Brad. Did we lose Brad?
Hmm. We're over here, right?
I can see Brad seems to be frozen.
Yeah. Should we take a roll call?
Mic check, mic check.
Okay. I'm here. Alex is here.
Well,
Yeah.
lost the Brad.
Keep it here. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
And there is.
There he is.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what the heck happened there.
I don't know. You
Yeah.
you passed out there for a second.
I
Power
was
surge.
I was gonna say before I got off, I've been trying to like not have a script or anything so we can go and talk about anything
There you go.
that's
Sure.
going on in sports. I mean, it's the end of the year anyway, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
figured, we
How
can
about that?
maybe start, trying this stuff out at the end of the year. Maybe next year we just kind of talk about what's going on. I mean, we have bowl games to talk about.
Yeah. We can
Yes.
start. We kind of do it like we used to do it, where you would pull headlines and then just kind of freeform the conversation from there. I always
Yeah.
like doing it that way.
Well,
That's how I do it.
I wish I was flying to Hawaii next week, but I'm not going to be able to do that. So that's
Yeah. Well, we talked about that the other week, especially not on Ralph's dime.
yeah. He talked to me the other day about that. He's like, yeah. Well, according to him, Bud, the hotel was paid for. I
Oh,
guess
really?
Ah.
there was a sponsor that he has through the website that was going to
Oh,
pay
okay.
for our hotel, but flying there because I'm like, I took your advice. I'm like, yeah, and then my luck is I fly back Christmas Day and I get stuck in Colorado in the snow, and I can't fly
Yeah.
home.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Or you have to, okay, we can't fly into Colorado, so we're gonna fly into Kansas City. By the time you get to Kansas City, you can't land in Kansas City, so you gotta fly to Houston, and you can't. So you land in Houston, and then you gotta get on another flight and fly to Charlotte. Now you can't land in Charlotte, so you gotta land in Atlanta. You can't land in Atlanta, so you're not landing in Orlando, and then you gotta get on a third connecting flight from Orlando down to Tampa,
And then
your
it's
luggage.
Screwed.
And your luggage it doesn't make it to Tampa, and you gotta contact the airline and have them mail it to you, UPS or USPS.
Yeah.
And then
Actually, you
it's-
sent your
and then it's like
luggage supply by mistake.
it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on the day after Christmas, and I got to go to work in an hour. I don't have no sleep. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a
sure.
nightmare situation. So yeah, no, I'm good.
Of course, if you had more time to plan, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But with the
Right.
fact that it's not a full-time gig, it's not like you're doing it professionally, where you don't have even if you had a deadline on the day after the 26th, which would be the Thursday. Even if you had a deadline, I have to get this article in by 6 on Thursday. You could always just text Rob and be like, hey, I'm stuck in the airport. I'll get it to you when I can. You can't, calling off from your day job isn't necessarily an option, especially
Correct.
if you used up all your sick days already.
Well, and two, but I talked to him because every year around this time of the year we talk about all the bowl games that are going on, and he's like
Yeah.
looking through the schedule. He's like, nope, that one's while you're working. Nope. So the only game that we
Yes.
applied for this year is the Pop Tarts Bowl,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's the weekend after. That's the weekend of Christmas,
Man.
and it's Iowa and forget the other team that's in that game.
I don't remember offhand.
It might be Clemson. I think it might be Clemson and Iowa might be in
Yeah.
that game together. Something like that. No, I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
Miami. It's Miami Hurricanes
Miami.
and the Iowa Hawkeyes. So it would be a good game to go to. I think those are two good football programs. But I mean, the Gators are here in my backyard in Tampa. In the Gasparilla Bowl against
Iowa State and Miami.
Iowa State. I'm sorry, not Iowa. Iowa State.
I knew that didn't sound right because
Oh.
Iowa was playing somebody that didn't have an offense either. Oh, they played Missouri. Okay.
Yeah, the Gasparilla Bowl is Florida and Tulane.
Okay.
And that's coming up, I think, this week. And
Yes.
then Alabama's playing Michigan in the ReliaQuest Bowl on New Year's Eve.
Right,
down
in Tampa.
In
What do you
Tampa.
make of that though? With
Yeah.
when they announced the playoff schedule for the top 12 teams, were you surprised that Alabama got snubbed, or do you think the committee made it right?
I think that the committee got it right, personally.
Thank goodness.
I think Brad asked me about that the other day. And honestly, I think the 3-loss teams really shouldn't be there right now as
Right.
it sits. Not with teams that have 2 or fewer losses. If you
Exactly.
have a handful of 3-loss teams, like let's say the top 8 are all 1 loss, 0 loss, or no loss or 1 loss teams.
One.
And you have a couple of 2 loss teams, and then everybody else is kind of in that 3 loss, 4 loss ballpark. Then you could look at taking, or if let's say if the other is like a New Mexico State or a Miami of Ohio, and they've beaten up on a lot of MAC teams, and they're going to go and get killed by a Georgia or Texas, Georgia, Penn State. Then I would think that then I would be more receptive of letting a 3-loss Alabama team in or a 4-loss Florida State team in, something like that. Whereas this year you have several better Power 5 schools that are 1 loss or 2 losses, and I think they have to jump Alabama this year. And next year will be a whole nother year, and we'll get back to this time next year, and we can have that conversation, and we'll see if we have like 5 or 6 or 7 undefeated teams, 5 or 6 1-loss teams, and then 2 or 3 3-loss teams vying for that 12th, 11th, and 12th spot. I get, I think it comes down to the fact that Alabama didn't take care of business. They lost to a 6-6 Vandy team. They lost to Georgia,
Tennessee,
and Tennessee.
Yes.
Thank you. I couldn't remember who the third one was.
Mhm.
And they had 2 losses against 2 playoff teams already, and a bad loss against the 6-6 Georgia team. Alex, you're muted, buddy. And so when I think about putting a team in the playoffs or getting a team in the a team getting in the playoffs as a 3-loss team, when there are 2 and 1-loss teams that are in my opinion equal talent as a 3-loss team, then I think that you put the 2-loss team in ahead of them.
Absolutely.
I think the 12 teams that got in are the ones that deserve to be there.
Yes.
And I mean, you look at teams like Boise State and Arizona State that no one, I think, thought at the beginning of the year, neither one of those teams were, I guarantee no one penciled them in at the start of the season. So those two, and then you can even throw SMU into that equation as well. They lost the ACC championship to Clemson. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
and they gave Clemson a game.
Yeah, and then you have a team like Indiana, who was the, Cinderella team this year.
Yeah,
they're in,
Right.
but they draw a tough Notre Dame team right off the bat.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
So
you draw who you draw, and that's the draw.
Oh yeah, that's
they should have beat Ohio State. I mean,
right.
At the end of the day, you had 13 weeks to prove why you deserve to be in the playoff and your playoff seeding. Oregon, Georgia, Texas, the top 5, top 6 teams, they all did their job. They all got the job done. When it comes to teams like Indiana whining about their seeding, or Ohio State whining about their seeding, or Alabama whining about not getting in the playoffs in general, you had 13 weeks to go out there and prove that you deserve to be there. And you couldn't get it done. You're still muted, Alex. We can see your lips moving, but we can't hear you.
Yeah.
And there's another.
Sorry, trying to get my Bluetooth figured out. So let me jump back in a few minutes.
We can hear you.
Sure.
You sound good.
Yeah, I got to get my Bluetooth on.
Okay.
All right, see you in a bit.
Cool.
Yeah, right back.
I'll use this.
Another country I heard from.
But I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I think the committee got it right, and it's good to see. I mean, to me, it would have been kind of cool to see Army get in. I know they didn't get in.
They didn't deserve to be there. They couldn't get the job done.
But they lost to Navy last week. I think they laid an egg. I think Navy wanted to win that
He
game.
clowned him.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
only go right now.
I didn't get to watch all of it, guys. I was at doing a 5K, so I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of it. And I was on my phone looking at my phone while I was walking, and I'm like, come on, Army, and then it got real close, and then
Yeah.
the tires
Navy put
fell
him
off.
away in the end.
Navy blew them, so Navy won the Commanders
Kind
in
of blew the
Chiefs.
doors off. Yep.
So they're
Well-
the champs for the Commander in Chief trophy.
Well, going back a couple of weeks, Army lost badly to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, again, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about, having you have your opportunities throughout the season to make a statement
Mhm.
on why you deserve to be there over any other team. And when it comes down to it, the fact of the matter is that there's 13 weeks in a season to make the statements that you need to make to tell the committee, hey, we want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
when you go out there and you play a mediocre team like Vanderbilt, who's been better the last few years, but still not great, and you lose in a game that you're a 2-touchdown plus favorite, the pity train, especially with the recent success that your team has had, there's very little pity train coming down the tracks for you.
Mhm.
Very true.
And what do you guys think about an early and a late transfer portal period? Like you have 1 week after the regular season to transfer, and then 1 week after the bowl season to transfer.
I don't mind that. I mean, I went to a banquet on Tuesday night for the high school team that I call football for, and the
Mhm.
head coach made a speech about how hard it is because of the transfer portal now, how hard it is for high school kids to get scholarships because the coaches are now going to the portal to get their players first. They're not going out and recruiting as much as they used to. And I guess the NCAA is, forget what it is. Is it 80 kids on scholarship? I forget what it is, but you can
Yeah,
only
something like that. Yeah.
certain number of players on your roster in college that can be on scholarship. So
Yeah.
he's just like, it says it makes it harder for high school kids to get into college now because of that reason.
On scholarship.
Yeah, to get a scholarship because the transfer portal is it's being used
Right.
widely as it is. So, I mean, for high school kids, I feel bad for, but I don't feel bad because again, at the end of the day, if those were the two times that you can transfer, why not? I mean, if that's going to make
Sure,
your team better, I mean, I would wait for, like you said, after the bowl game because you don't want to have your kids transfer and then you lose them in the portal and you don't. I mean, look, for example, guys at Marshall, their whole team transferred. They had
Right.
they withdraw from as an Independence Bowl, I think is the bowl game they were
Yeah.
in. But the whole team, because their coach took a new job, so the whole team went into the portal and left Marshall with no players
Yeah.
for the bowl game.
Right.
So
I mean,
in some
but-
ways, the portal can screw you, but in some ways, it can make your team better. So and it gives
And,
the kids better.
unless they're going to ban coaches from moving,
Good point.
then the kids ought to be able to move whenever they want.
Correct.
There are so many factors that go into getting a good education and getting an opportunity to play football at the second highest level, and things like coaching. If the coach can just jump ship at the end of the year and be like, yeah, you know what, I like this opportunity better. I want to go play. I want to go coach this team for whatever reason. There doesn't have to be just, hey, I like South Alabama, South Mississippi better, so I'm going to coach there. Then the players should have every right to jump ship and go wherever they want, and play for whoever they want to play for. Because we see that year in and year out, and for the last until this most recent cycle, coaches left whenever they want. And if they were done with coaching, they just up and quit whenever they want.
Yeah.
Or if the school didn't like them anymore, they were fired and gone. And the kids didn't have that opportunity to just up and quit, unless they wanted to quit all of football, right?
Right.
Unless they have to. If you quit on the team, then you're a bum and you're a loser and you suck and you're a malcontent and a problem child and you should never be allowed to play football ever again, and blacklist them and drag them out in the street, draw and quarter them, and scatter their innards for the buzzards.
Mm-hmm.
But coaches, nobody has a problem with coaches jumping ship, quitting, walking away, retiring, whatever.
Well, like you said, but I think a couple weeks ago, going to better programs. For example, like Alex Golesh. Like if they win on Christmas Eve in Hawaii, and they go, the Bulls have gone 6-6 the last 2 seasons. They win 2 bowl games. He's going to be highly looked at and say, okay, well, come to Michigan, come to these bigger programs. We can pay you more, and you're going to have access to better athletes than you do at USF.
Yes.
So, and it doesn't even have to be a head coaching job. Belichick has a whole staff he's got to put together. Belichick's got a whole staff he's going to have to put together. And you know which side of the ball Golesh is?
Offense.
Is he an offensive? Yeah.
He was an OC bud at UCF and an OC in Tennessee before he took the job with USF.
And so Belichick's going to have to put together a staff. And we know Bill's 72 years old. So it's not like he's going to be there for the next, he might be there for 30 years. But by that time, he'll be like 102. And so if you're Alex Golesh and you're looking at the opportunity to go from a middle of the road, mediocre, middling USF program, and no offense to your Bulls, love the Bulls. But if Bill Belichick comes to you and offers you a gig as the OC there, you got to be thinking, well, I got it made. 3, 5, 10 years. How long is Belichick going to be there? How long is he going to want? What you could be looking at it going, well, if he flames out, I get the keys to UNC.
Well, I think that in his contract that his son takes over if he leaves.
Yes.
Steve takes over. He's the next coach at UNC. So Belichick took the job, and then Steve takes over. What if he leaves or go? I have a funny feeling why he's doing this, and he might do this for 2 years. Is find a job because at the end of the day, we all know he wants to beat Don Shula's record. We all know that,
right?
We all know that that's what he wants to do. So
sure, it's the goal.
Correct. He can't do that in college. So if he goes and coaches at North Carolina and they have they don't even have to have long as they get 6 wins and they go to a bowl game.
A successful season.
Right. A 500 season and they go on to a bowl game and they win one or win both, then he's going to get a head coaching job because he'll get a job back in the NFL. I don't know who it would be with. I guess it depends.
Yeah, but
who sucks at that point in time that he's a coach.
But what do you do with the coach that's 102?
That's good. Good question. That's a good
What
question.
do you
Well,
do with that?
I think Belichick's. I like where Brad's head's at on that, because I think he's looking to get younger, getting more
Yeah.
acclimated with the young players of today's modern game.
Mhm.
Kind of like reverse Jimmy Johnson,
There you go.
where Jimmy went from Miami to Dallas, Bill went
Yeah.
from New England to UNC. And I like what you're thinking, is that there'll be maybe Cincinnati's open, and that's kind of this whole UNC thing. I don't know how long he lasts if the Bengals or the Cowboys or the Bears come knocking and be like, hey, Bill, all this money,
Uh-huh.
does Bill actually stay at UNC, or does he go back to the NFL even before they even
I think it's by the
kick off
NFL.
spring ball? Spring ball, I definitely think I like what you're thinking. 2 years, maybe a year at UNC, 2 years tops, and he goes back to the NFL to try to break Sulo's record.
I think if you're looking at Cincinnati, Chicago, and Dallas, I think if those 3 jobs are available, I think the smart move would be probably go to Cincinnati, because you got Joe Burrow, you got weapons on offense. I know they have to re-sign. What's his name? Who's their top receiver in Cincinnati?
Higgins, T. Higgins.
Not Higgins. It's the other kid.
No, they signed Chase. They signed Chase.
Oh, they signed Chase. Okay, so they got to get
back at the beginning of the year.
they got to get T. Higgins re-signed. So
Yeah,
get T. Higgins re-signed. They have a decent defense. That would be the best fit for him. Chicago, you go there, you got Caleb Williams. You got weapons in Chicago, and going to that division, I think that division might be the toughest in all of football. I mean,
I agree.
Chicago's fallen off here of late, but
Right,
Green Bay's
Yeah,
good, Detroit's good, and so is
Minnesota.
So all those 3 teams are all on the right path moving forward. They're going to be good. So if Chicago can get back to their winning ways, like they did when in the beginning of the season, there should be no.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an interesting job to take, going to it, because if you think back, guys, to his New England days, I mean, the only competitive team there towards the end was Buffalo. Miami,
Right.
you could say that, but the Jets were never that good. The Bills got good near the end. So he would go into it if he took the Chicago job, it would be tough. But going to Dallas, do you really? I mean, do you want to go and coach under
Deal with
Jerry
that ego?
And you have Dak, who got hurt. You got to re-sign Micah Parsons, who's due a big contract. Well, or how about the Saints job? There's another team that's in cap hell. That team is in dire cap hell. Is the Saints? So I mean,
and they don't have a quarterback.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, I could see, like you said, but maybe a year, 2 years at the most. Then he goes back, gets on a team that he knows he can kind of revamp for a couple years, and then by the time he turns 75, pushing 80, he hopefully between 75 and 80, he breaks the record. If that's I don't. Do you know how many wins he is away from?
I think he's like 30 wins. I think 30 or 40 wins, I believe.
Something like that.
Hang on, I'll look that up.
It might only be 20. But I think he has like 314 wins, and Shula has 352.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. He is 14 wins away from tying, 15 wins away from passing him. Shula has 347 wins. Belichick has 333. So he
can do it next season.
Yeah, he's 14. He's basically 15. I would say, if you want to look at it, say he's 2 NFL seasons away from passing him.
Yeah.
If you win if you can go 7-10 in a 17-game season,
Yeah.
well, you could do something along those lines.
I can't get it turned off. It's all good. Hey guys, sorry about that.
No problem, bud.
Yeah,
No
it's
problem.
okay.
My audio's been tripping up a lot. I don't want to slow things down, so sorry about that.
No, you're
Well,
good.
yeah,
We
so-
can hear you just fine.
He's 14 wins away from tying Don and 15 from passing him. So
Yeah,
We'll
so
see
two
what
two
happens.
seasons, two relatively competitive seasons, and he gets there. And then again, you know, we don't know. He might fall in love with the college game. He might, you know,
absolutely.
It's possible.
he could get to college, be the big man on campus, have all these young guys looking up to him. You know, it's Bill Belichick. It's their dad's favorite coach. It's their brother's favorite. You know, older brothers. You know,
Second
you
cousin.
know, he plays. Sure, why not? You know, an uncle. You know, your uncle up in Boston. You know, the great Bill Belichick. You know, he could be a kick-ass recruiter.
Uh-huh.
And you know, at UNC, and he could sign some top, you know, you could sign some top 5, top 10 draft classes, and really actually and go out there and compete, and and be done in December, and you know, have all of 90% of December off, and be done in January, and be done until the, you know, April or March or April of the following calendar year, where he's got no football to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just recruiting, and you know, he's going and knocking on these kids' doors, and you know,
Is
running
he
all,
going to
you know,
want to do that at his
FaceTiming.
age now? Is he going to suddenly want to start doing that in his mid-70s? I don't know.
I don't know, maybe.
His name brand, he's going to get kids on campus off being a QB whisperer with Brady. But so a lot of Blue Star prospects will want to go there, blue chip. I don't know. I'm eager to see how it goes. It's going to be electric. I don't know.
And
It could go really well, or it could go south too. I think it's going to go well, but I don't know how. If he gets a good NFL offer, he might be gone in 2 years.
that's what we're talking about before you hop back in here. Yeah.
Yeah, might be a quick cameo and an exit. I don't know.
And he, you know, I really think that really depends on how the first 6 weeks go next year. If they're 4-2 or 5-1,
It's a lot of hours, a lot of energy. Recruiting campaigns, like on the recruiting trail, and you guys know that. Like, I don't know, to start in that phase at like in his 70s, it's going to be a different landscape for him, that's for sure.
And then, you know, and then there's guys. I always go back to what Bear Bryant said about it: play as long as you can, coach as long as you can, and die. And
Yes.
and because that's what Bear did. He played for like 12 or 15 years, and then he coached at Alabama for like 30 or 35 years.
Yeah.
And within 6 weeks of his retirement, he was dead. And I think about that. I think about that often. Whenever we talk about these older guys, you guys getting up there in their mid 60s, early 70s, and they're still coaching, or guys in their late 30s, early 40s still playing, and it's like, you know, the game, you've lost a step, you know, you're getting older, and you know, every year I keep getting older, and these kids stay the same age, you know, and
not to be kind.
I don't know.
There you go.
I think it was. I can't remember if it was on this show or if I was just talking to somebody. But there was a guy played in the NBA for like 10 or 12 years. He made some money. He wasn't like an all-time great. He wasn't like a top 5 player. He was a bench guy. You know, 6 man, came off the bench, but he made like $30 million, and he retired in his early 30s. And when he retired, he finally had nothing to do and all this time to do it in. And he had, ever since he was like 15, I don't remember exactly. It's been a minute since I've seen the story, but he talked about growing up, you know, from the time he was 15, he might have been younger than that, but he was up at 5 a.m. I think he was up at 4:30, out of the house by 5, hit the track, went in, shot balls, went to class, got done with class, went to the gym, got done with every time, you know, when he wasn't in class, he was in the gym. And then when he was, you know, he'd shoot for until he had to go to his next class. And then He'd do his next class, and he'd skip lunch and go shoot more. And he's talking about then he got to college and he did the same thing. He went to his classes. In between classes, he went to the gym. He had even more time because now he didn't have a full schedule of class. He had like 2 classes on each day, or 3 classes. A morning class, an afternoon class, and a late afternoon class, or even like a morning class and an afternoon class. And so he'd have big blocks where he was just in the gym. That's all he did, and to get better at playing basketball. And then when he got out of when he graduates from college and he goes to the league, that's all he did is play basketball. And he's up at 5 a.m. and he goes for a run and he goes to the gym and he shoots and he does his drills and he gets out and he goes to the game and then every day for 15 or 20 years, that's all he did. So he would still wake up at 4:30 in the morning, but he'd have nothing to do. And when he retired, he didn't know what to do with himself. So he would drive around LA for like 4 hours in the morning, just driving around LA because he didn't know what to do with himself. He had all this money and no idea what to do with it. And I think he said he did that for like 6 months before he reached out to somebody, and then he got like a business plan and he started investing his money and diversifying his money, and he got a business plan together, and now he's doing that. He has purpose in his life again. And I say all that to go back to what you're saying about Bill Belichick, and does he want to do the recruiting thing now that he's in his 70s, and he's is he going to have the energy? Well, he apparently has the energy for a 24-year-old girlfriend. So, I mean, if he can keep up with a 24-year-old girlfriend,
yeah, he's really been in all protocol there.
Yeah.
I just the amount of hours committed. He doesn't have to be running circles and running stairs and bench pressing with the recruits, but he's just going to be out and about and visible in airports and late nights on the road. I don't know. I think he's geared up to. I was surprised. Apparently, he was calling the Jets, asking if that was available. So teams had shied away from him. So maybe this was kind of the best. Yeah. Maybe this was the best. It was all much ado about nothing. This might have been the best gig he could get. It's random. It's very random to me.
It does feel kind of random.
North Carolina. Yeah, it feels random to me.
But it kind of has that. It kind of feels rightish. Like it feels random, but it also makes sense on a certain level of, if you want to do this thing that you've done for your whole life, and which is coach football, you take the only gig that's available. You take it's the only game in town, so it's the game you play.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's looking for a challenge, something to do, because he had been doing some TV stuff and all of that, but that stuff. It depends on he's not a young guy. He's not in his early 50s, retired from coaching, or even his mid 50s. It's not like he's got a oodle and caboodle of grandkids running around. I'm not sure if he even has any grandkids. I know he's got a couple of kids, but they're both they're both into football. They do football stuff all the time. And so that's where his life is. Steven was until recently he was still in New England. Now he's on staff at UNC. So it's kind of like that's what he's always done. And so, I think if you're, as Bill Belichick wanting to just be around football and the TV side not teaching his brain in the way he needed it scratched.
It is just a remarkable turnaround, just to let how much activity, how much demand there was. Apparently, the market was so hot for him. Oh my God, where's he going to go? Maybe the Bears. Obviously, the Eagles were talked about. There was a handful of teams that were like hand over fist trying to go for him, and then it turns out he's asking about the Jets job. Like, all right, buddy, time to go to college.
Well, and I think maybe he wants to. Maybe he didn't want any, the only job the job he wanted was the Jets job, because that's the job that he gave up to go to New England 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so he might want to go, that might be the only NFL job he wants. And so he's going to go down to He's going to go down to UNC. He's going to recruit. He's going to get back into the swing of things. He's going to get all that NFL stuff going, or that college stuff going, and we'll see in about 8 months or so how well it pays off for UNC.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be great. Yeah.
It's college football. It's a good spark of energy. It's a lot of it's going to draw a lot of attention, and it's obviously great for the college of the Tar Heels.
Yeah.
For the overall campus.
For the football program, for the basketball, just Absolutely. For the program in general, getting Absolutely. More eyes,
recruiting donors, all that good stuff.
Yeah, an injection of positivity because Mack Brown.
Yep, the whole 9 yards. Publicity, network ratings, big games on TV, always like everything. It's a huge score for them
because they had to replace Mack Brown, and how do you replace a leg? A 200 game winner, a national champion, 40 years in the business, and then you go out and you score Bill Belichick the coup of the century.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting move for both parties. I'm curious to see how it works out for Bill, if he can hack it at the college level. Because, when he was in school 100 years ago, things were so different. When he was a college player, and I think he went to like a D2 school. I don't think he went to
played lacrosse. Bill Belly.
Yeah, I don't.
He's always been just ultra competitive. I mean, I think he'll do fantastic. He should be able to do really well. I was just surprised that it happened, but hey, I'm
excited to see.
He's going to get such awesome recruits, I think, to want to play for him, to get to the next step, or just to be around the name, the legacy.
If my dream school wasn't interested in offering me a scholarship, whether you're like grow up in Michigan, you're a Michigan guy, or grow up in Ohio State, and Alabama, Georgia, Florida, the Tar Heel or the Seminoles. If you're a top 5 recruit, and let's say you're a top 5 quarterback, like you're the quarterback whisperer with Brady, for nearly 20 years with Brady, all that success, and say you're a 4-star quarterback, and you're looking for a day 1 start. Let's say you're a 4-star quarterback who's been sitting behind somebody like, obviously Arch Manning isn't going anywhere, but Arch Manning or some of these other 4-star, 5-star recruits that have been sitting for a year or two behind a Quinn Ewers or behind, a Carson Beck or something like that, and you want a starting job now, transferring to UNC to go hook up with Bill Belichick for 2 years.
Yeah,
it's got to be super tempting.
Or if he calls someone and just shows interest in them by his last name, they're going to think, wow, QB, maybe NFL path to get there. He can maximize his talents. He's a QB whisperer. If you're going to be interested in the Chapel Hill, you're going to be interested in being a Carolina Tar Heel if Bill Belichick's calling your parents' house on a one day
on a Tuesday night.
That recruiting call, you're going to be like, if you're going to open that letter from Bill Belichick if he knocks on the door.
Yeah. And it's not just quarter, he transfers in a 4-star quarterback or a 5-star quarterback from somewhere, some guy that's been stuck behind a premier 5-star, the kid up in the backup in Oregon, the backup in Ohio State, the backup in Georgia, that Penn State backup that went into the portal, and he's a 4-star recruit. And let's say, you get that quarterback, and you say, now you can go to the linemen. Now you can go to these linemen that are, underclassmen that have a year of eligibility left, and recruit those kids. Hey, we've got a quarterback. Now we need a left tackle. Now we need a right guard. Hey, we got the guards. We got tackles. We got guards. We need a running back. We got
quickly build it out. Just like Coach Prime. I mean, there's a flood of recruits with Coach Prime.
Yeah.
With a splash head coaching hire, it's going to be a wave of activity. Like you said, it's not rocket science. Kids are going to be very interested in playing for that school.
and not just kids, but parents are going to be interested in having their kids
Parents,
play.
legacy, yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Agents, head coaches in the NFL, like it's going to just draw so much activity. There,
A ton of talent.
they could have like a bunch of really good transfers and recruits overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Right.
then we'll have signing day, and I think signing day is in mid-January or February.
Good prestigious school, nice area of the country, the good weather.
Yeah,
That's a
great
hot
weather
spot.
all year long.
Big
Great weather
basketball
all year
program,
long.
so it's got the name recognition already from Michael Jordan all the way up to the present with basketball.
Yeah,
You know, it can fast become an awesome football school. It could.
sure.
This
It could.
If it's going to happen. This will do it.
And the thing about it is like the thing that UNC has to realize right now, as we on December 19th, 2024, is that Bill Belichick isn't a spring chicken, and they need to have a succession plan in place to continue that legacy. Let's say they go to 10-2, make the playoffs, make it to a semifinal game. For let's say they make it to 3 consecutive semifinal games over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And Bill, and then Bill's 75. He gets that opportunity to go back to the NFL. The Jets say, okay, the Jets finally make him that. He's had all this success, 30 wins, and 30 plus wins, less than 10 losses. Beats the rivals. Beats playoff caliber talent year in and year out. And he's 75. He wants one more shot at breaking Shula's record. He knows he needs to get it done in the next 2 to 5 years before he turns 80 and really can't get up the stairs anymore. So we'll when UNC needs to have a succession plan in place to be able to sustain that success that bringing in Bill Belichick could create. Because if they don't have a long-term plan for the next 15 years after Bill leaves, the program could absolutely crater and go back to being really good basketball school and a every once in a while good football school.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's going to be fascinating to watch how it unfolds. Definitely, no one really. Not a lot of people, if any, saw it coming. So it's going to be fun to track.
Yes,
I didn't believe it when they first announced it that he was going to. He was going to UNC. I thought it was because I heard the rumors that he was interested and UNC was interested in him, but I really didn't believe it. And then, of course, it came out later that it wasn't back a done deal. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens the next. How he recruits and if he can recruit, because name recognition will only get you.
We'll see a lot of portal activity, right? Almost like a mirror image of what happened with Primetime when Coach Sanders arrived from Jackson State in Colorado. It was just a wave of, you got like 8 or 9 new starters that are all upperclassmen, linebackers, cornerbacks, guards, tackles. You just get all these not for incoming freshmen, but older players coming in, sudden transfers,
right?
That are ready to play right away, ready to play big ball right away. So that could be a good team overnight.
And we'll have to see if Bill can adapt his coaching philosophy to the college game.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that I'm worried. We talk about recruiting and how it'll be good for recruiting and how it'll be how exciting it is. But the thing is that he's also got to be able to coach, and we won't know until spring ball at the earliest what kind of college coach he's gonna be, and can he coach big time college football? We know he can coach big time pro ball. Right. Those guys are adults. They're all there's he surrounded himself with a locker room full of mature adults who did mature adult things. They didn't have a party boy locker room. They didn't have a party boy atmosphere. And when you've got you're going into a situation where you have 118 to 23-year-olds who are not adults. They're young adults. They're kids who are transitioning from high school to college, finding out about themselves, learning about themselves, making mistakes, maybe not caring so much about grades or academics or you know those types of things, and can build motivate these kids to actually care about their studies and their football, because when you're in the NFL, nobody cares how smart you are. Nobody cares if you had a
Yeah.
4.0 GPA or a 0.4 GPA. You're in the league now. You're here to make money and win championships. And you can be the dumbest box of rocks on the planet, but if you can stop a three technique, you got a job. If
Yeah.
you can run a 4.2 40 and make catches in traffic, you got a job. Doesn't matter whether you're, valedictorian or you were hiding under the bleachers in math class.
Also, yeah, I also think another factor maybe that turned some NFL teams off and away from him was he wanted full autonomy. He wanted full control. He probably wanted his son involved in the hiring to be a member of his staff, but he wanted to, obviously control the personnel, draft day. That was
Right.
failing for a while. After Brady hit the road, that whole thing went south quickly. He did not do well without Brady around. He did not evaluate. They did not have good drafts for, you could say, half a decade. So that shine came off him real big time. I think. I think his name was, "Oh, I can get any job." No, you can't, Bill.
Yeah.
Like the Cowboys, Eagles. I think maybe quietly some of those teams said, "You know what? No thanks," because he's in Carolina now. That's another thing. He wasn't good at those draft picks, man. I think maybe he wants too much power, and he can get it in Carolina as a college coach.
I agree. I tend to agree with you on that thought. I also think that maybe Bill had a wake up and smell the roses moment.
Yeah.
In 2023, when nobody took him, when he left New England, when they let him go. When they let him go in New England, they went a different direction. It was no pop, no circumstance, no hey, just Sunday night you had a job, Monday morning you don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
It was a shock. And I think going back to school, because I think you're right. I think he did lose touch with reality a little bit, and
his draft picks, like just evaluating talent. Yeah.
Well, I think he got so used to drafting at the end of the first round, early second round. They were always trading back because they always had 25 to 32.
And much more. Yeah, like hard to like people couldn't predict. They're like, why did they just select that guy? An offensive guard from like Saginaw State, and it's like he thought he was smarter than everyone else in the draft process. Where after a while, he was consistently bringing in guys that did not become good Patriots. They did not win many games in New England. Those were guys he was bringing in. So it's like he proved he really shouldn't be in charge of the GM side of things, because it was a fiasco in New England. They were bad for several years under him without Brady.
Well, during their heyday, during the Brady years, everybody wanted, he had so many guys. He would rotate new guys in every year, in every, but he always had a great defense. In the big three, he always had Gronk and Brady and Edelman, especially
Edelman. Yep.
Especially later in his tenure, where he had Brady and Gronk and Edelman, and you could piecemeal the rest of the offense together. A couple of decent guards, because you had a great quarterback, could get the ball out quick. You didn't have to worry about having great linemen. You didn't have to worry about it. You could take a flyer on a kid out of Chattanooga. And especially when you're drafting at the back of the first round, always. So you're always evaluating talent deeper into you're always having to reach for deeper into the draft pool to find talent and hoping you hit on one. But 90% of the time it didn't really matter because he always had Brady. He always had Gronk. He always had Edelman. He always he had great offense. He had Matt Light and
he got exposure. He really did. A little bit.
A little bit. And I think, the other thing that I was going to say is I think that by the end of his career, the kids that, where he was, the guys that he would normally draft, guys he would normally be interested in, those players weren't the game had changed so much that the guys that he normally would draft were already gone because he changed the game. He changed how a talent was evaluated. He changed how GMs and coaches thought. He changed philosophy on drafting, on free agents, on other teams that looked at the Patriot way and went, okay, have a great quarterback, have a great tight end, have a great offensive line, have great defense, and then recruit talented veteran guys who are later in their prime but not quite past it yet. And just keep rebuilding, keep a great, you have a great quarterback, a great tight end,
to the Patriot way,
and a great offensive line, and then you can just do that every year, and you don't have to think too hard about talent and surrounding your players, surrounding everyone with great talent.
It caught up with him, yeah. If you look at his number one picks, they were showing stats as they were getting progressively worse, right? And then Brady left. That they had first round, second round, third round, all guys that weren't with the team within like 2 years. Just really bad. So hopefully he gets that, has some other people with him for the recruiting too in Carolina. But I'm gonna think. I think they're at least bowl like top 15, top 20 next year. I don't know.
I think bowl eligibility is the benchmark.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think bowl eligibility. I think I kind of evaluate it like I evaluate most first year coaches. You get a year, you get a mulligan. Everybody gets their first year. Everybody gets their first year. No expectations. Win one game, win 6 games, win a bowl game, beat your rivals. That's how I would evaluate a successful first year for any first year coach. Take it, because they were UNC. I think they finished 7-5 or 6-6, but they lost to their biggest rival. I think for a first year coach, you have to beat your rivals. Mm-hmm. You have to be competitive against good teams. Don't get dog walked by the better schools. Be competitive against the top 10, top 15 schools. Win your rivalry game. Get bowl eligible. Win your bowl game. And that's really, I think, how you define success for a first year head coach. Then after that, we heavily get into winning on recruiting day, win on signing day, win in the portal, win on signing day, building the program, continuing to build the program from a 6, 7, 8 win team to a 9, 10, 11 win team, and then going and moving forward, competing for playoff spots, and then once you go, this year competing for a bowl game, next year competing for a playoff spot, a year after that, by year 3, really making a playoff run, and then 4 and 5 winning national titles, or at least playing in national title games, and finding out what you lack to get to that to clear the last hurdle and win a national title.
Beat Duke.
Beat Duke. Beat NC State.
I've been down there. That's an awesome strip, Tobacco Road. There's like 6 miles that separates the schools, I want to say. Duke and Carolina. It's on one. It's the same street, right? To campus to campus.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And beating Duke, beating UNC, winning your whole game, and then continuing to build in the portal, and then on signing day, and then making the playoffs, winning a playoff game, competing for a national title. And the other thing is that Bill Belichick is older. He's 72 years old. He's not going to get any younger. You might have an accelerated timeline because we don't know where this goes. We don't know if Bill is doing, and he has an angle to get back to the league, or if he wants to just play with some kids. Young men. I reject that. So um, when it comes to this next phase in Bill's coaching career, how much of it is it him wanting to get back to the league, and how much is it him wanting to pass on his knowledge to the younger generation? And I think I think it's kind of wait and see right now. And obviously, I put my crystal ball in the shop in 2021 when Ohio State lost to I forget who they lost to. And I'm not that great of a prognosticator anymore. Never claimed to be one in the first place, but so we'll have to see if he can get a quarterback, if he can get an offensive line, and what kind of weapons he can wrestle up. And can he coach the college game? Can he think like a college coach?
Yeah, he's going to have his pick of quarterbacks, top star recruits right away to the opportunity to play for Coach Belichick. Quarterbacks are going to be waiting for that letter in the mail.
I'm just curious if his offensive and defensive philosophies from 30 years in the NFL will adapt, and how quickly they adapt to the college game. Because when Michigan signed Wink Martindale to a college, as the DC out in New York last year, it took him 8 weeks to get to understand the college game. Then you have to simplify. That you have to simplify the playbook. You have young guys who have school and lives, and they're not dedicated. They can't be as dedicated as an NFL guy to learning a playbook and understanding a playbook and exotic blitz schemes, and coming off the edge and dropping into coverage. Once Wink went to a more simplified, more base defensive scheme, that defense from the second half of the Oregon State game through the Ohio State game, Michigan was a totally different team, a much better defensive team. Couldn't play offense for the shit, but that's neither here nor there. And so I think that's my other concern. That's my concern on the football side of it. I think he'll be fine in recruiting. I think he'll be fine. He'll bring in. I don't think he'll have a problem with culture. I think he's very down to earth. I think he'll understand that these are kids, and expecting them to act like adults, like more mature adults, is asking a lot. You got a lot of these young guys who have been, who are just now getting freedom. They don't have curfews. They don't have bedtimes. They have, they're getting their first real taste of freedom. So I think that'll be an interesting an interesting aspect to look at going forward. And then the other thing is, can his offensive and defensive philosophies translate to the college game? What coordinators is he going to get? Is he going to bring in 2 NFL guys to be his coordinators who haven't coached college ball ever or in the last 15 years? Or is he going to hire someone like Alex Golesh or a other established lower tier coach to be the head to run the offense and defense? How much control of the offense and defense is he going to want?
A lot.
I be part of the show?
Yes, this is my dog, Zessie.
Oh, no.
Hello, doggy. Hi, doggy.
I was going to ask you guys, how do you guys feel about Michael Vick being a head coach?
Oh boy. I'm surprised controversy that from that, with all he went through in the past. I'm surprised, that nobody objected to that. That might be a little bit touch and go here. Oof.
Well, I think he served his time.
Oh.
He got out. It's been 15 years since it all went down.
That long?
Wow. Yeah, I think it was like 2007 when that happened. 2006. Somewhere.
That's been a while.
And so in terms of, I don't necessarily like taking a guy who's never coached before and giving them.
Yeah.
That's my biggest hang up with bringing in a guy like Michael Vick or some of those. There was another
Yeah.
guy that they were talking about.
Well, remember the
they-
real guy start
They're
summer,
talking
you
about
know.
Ray-
Yeah, he's
they were
never coached
talking about Ray
experience.
Lewis.
I did warm up to him when he was keeping his nose out of trouble, first of all, but and then he also performed well as an Eagle. So yeah, I warmed up to him as an Eagle fan eventually, but what he did was despicable, and time doesn't heal all wounds. Plus, without coaching, I mean, I just don't like this hire nearly as much.
No.
And again, I think he's improved, and he does seem like a genuinely good person now. I really enjoy his stuff when he's commentating. Surprisingly good, I think. Good personality. Seems like a really nice guy. I know people make mistakes, especially when they're younger. It's a little it's a little easier to in time. If they look like they've really atoned, you got to everyone. No one's perfect, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of feeling. It's just a splash hire for them to try to generate some excitement and get some people in the transfer portal, or you know what I mean. Norfolk's he's there to get people interested in that campus and get commits. Otherwise, no one's really looking to play for Norfolk State. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's kind of a savvy move for them. They're just taking a shot in the dark. They got nothing to lose. The campus.
Yeah. When you say it's a shot in the dark, they got nothing to lose. I think it goes.
Yeah,
I think it cuts both ways.
They can shake things up. It's a big name. They can get the spotlight, a little bit of attention on them, and maybe some good players will go, you know what? Wow, Mike Vick. Oh wow, I used to play Madden with him or NCAA football. Like he is a legendary name. So from a recruiting standpoint, it's a win for a smaller school that wouldn't normally have a chance to reel in some of those big fish.
Bigger fish,
Prime time, I like him better, but Neon, I mean, no one saw him coaching before that, and he made quite the wave and quite the splash when he arrived in Colorado. So
yeah, no, I just don't like hiring a guy with no coaching experience at any level.
That's what gets me. Yeah,
and like I think with when you hire a guy, to be the head coach, I kind of think you need some kind of managerial, experience.
Yep.
It kind of feels like hiring a kid off the floor to be the GM of the store.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget, we just I think within 2 or 3 years, Eddie George, incredible Hall of Famer, Tennessee State, his home state, is now no experience, so becoming a little bit more commonplace.
Yeah.
A couple more guys are doing it. Teddy Bridgewater. I know Teddy Bridgewater's high school, but guys are suddenly making these leaps into coaching to the top. High school's obviously a lot different, but yeah, Vic, I didn't see that coming, but who knows?
I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess when you're a middling nowhere school,
yeah,
it really can't. It really doesn't do anything to your program if he flames out in 2 years.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's really no risk, but as long as he's well mannered, he seems like he's on the right path. So,
and I get, and if he does, if they go 10-2 or 11-1, and I think they're a D2 school, aren't they?
I think they're not. Absolutely,
they are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, in 2 or 3 years, he goes somewhere else, just like Deion Jackson, maybe 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah. And they weren't look here.
But yeah, it's a huge leap of faith. It's a huge shot in the dark for no coaching experience at all. None.
Well, I think what they're thinking and they're hoping is that lightning will strike twice. Like with Deion, it'll be a name. Yeah. He'll go there. He'll bring that program back. Like, before Deion went to Colorado, he was at Jackson State. Jackson State won the Boca Raton Bowl last night, their first ever bowl win in program history. And
name recognition is huge. Some of these kids, their uncles, their dads, their neighbors. Oh my God, you're going to play for Michael Vick. You might go there. You're going to play for Bill Belichick or Deion. Like,
these
recruits are getting interested, man.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe he really turns it around. It's worth a shot for them, for Norfolk.
Yes.
And it doesn't hurt Michael Vick at all to take a shot.
Yeah, it's a mutual shot. Yeah, it's a mutual risk, a mutual chance. Could go really well.
I wish I had my best.
Yeah.
He was an advisor for the Atlanta Legends in 2019. So, yeah, I really.
Yeah.
Norfolk State was 4-8 last year or this year.
Yep.
4-8. They were 2-3 in the conference, and
Uh.
South Carolina State won the conference. They were 5-0 within the conference. It's the Mid Eastern Atlantic. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's got some work to do. I mean, going 4-8, that's not too bad. I mean,
That's not
No.
too good.
not good either. If you look at the records, I think Delaware State went 1-11 this year. That's bad.
That's really bad.
Yeah,
That's beyond bad.
that's bad.
Ugh.
That's bad.
So,
Yes.
no, I don't think it's like the end. I don't think it's the end of the world for either side.
No,
I think that it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting choice. Again, I don't necessarily care for hiring a former player with no coaching experience to be the head coach right out the gate. But when you're 4-8, and you know, how do you build a program without making a splash like that?
mm-hmm.
Take a flyer on a guy. If it doesn't pan out, then oh well, we learned our lesson. And if it does pan out, then hell yeah, you're so much the better for it.
Yeah, I mean, going 4-8, yeah.
4-8.
Well, I mean, look at it like this: it can't get any worse. If he can go 4-8 or 5-7 in his first season,
Sorry.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, 3-9. Make me bad too.
She's barking at somebody.
It's another country heard from.
Yes.
Bud, what's going on in NASCAR? I haven't been paying too close attention to that. How's the season so far this year? Or hasn't started yet, right?
Yes.
That's right.
We're on winter break. We had about a month or so.
That's right, because the Daytona 500's in February. That's
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. The barriers have been set up at Bowman Gray. So Bowman Gray looks like it's going to be ready for the
All-Star race.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. The Clash. I don't know if it has a corporate sponsor or not yet, but it looks like they're going to be good to go for the Clash at Bowman Gray. The front 2311 and Front Row got their injunction, so they'll be allowed to race, at least temporarily. They've been granted their charters, so the judge in that case granted them their charters, so they'll at least start the season with with 3 chartered teams each. Other than that, yeah, it's been pretty quiet in the last since the championship, since Phoenix. Rumors are that it's gonna be that they're thinking about adding creating a 4-track rotation to the
That's cool.
championship weekend. I haven't heard what tracks are being considered. They would pretty much all have to be southern tracks or western tracks. So Homestead, Phoenix, Texas, maybe Bristol. You could think about, but Bristol's kind of up in the foothills, so you could have a foot of snow. You could have 6 inches of snow in early November to ruin a race weekend. And you can't have any like Midwestern tracks. It's just gonna be too damn cold.
You think, but they would race at Charlotte, or no? You think it's too cold in Charlotte?
Charlotte probably be on. Well, that'd be giving Charlotte a 3rd race. Daytona, Talladega. Charlotte, Bristol. I kind of think they're out, or either that, or taking a date away from, or giving that. Moving, so Phoenix would have to be earlier in the season if they gave Charlotte, or I don't see Charlotte as being a realistic option because they want to keep that Roval race in the playoffs. I don't see them taking away putting it back on the oval. Obviously, they're not doing the 600 because that's a big money maker. So they're not going to. I think the Southern 5, unless they. And I can't see them moving the spring date at the Mother's Day date or the Memorial date for Darlington, taking that away. New Hampshire, Dover. I don't think those tracks won't be. It's too cold in November. Too high of a possibility of having major snowfall. I don't see them the final race of the year being a road course. So Watkins Glen, Sears Point, I think they're out. They took Richmond's 2nd date away to send it to Mexico. So, and I don't see Sonoma, Watkins Glen's, the Mexico Circuit of the Americas. I could see. I think Texas, Phoenix, Miami, and I don't know what that 4th track would be to pencil in. Maybe Kansas. I could see Kansas being that final race. That could be a great final race. I kind of think, Indy's out, Michigan's out. None of the road courses. Bristol already has 2 dates. Daytona already has 2 dates. Talladega already has 2 dates. Charlotte has 2 dates. Dover, New Hampshire, that's Loudon. I don't see them racing at. It's going to be too cold, too high of a possibility of snow, traveling in the Northeast or Midwest during that time. Yeah, so I think it's got to be Phoenix, Miami, Kansas, and Texas. I think those are probably the 4 tracks that would be most likely to be used.
Okay.
If they did go to a 4-track rotation,
That'd be pretty cool.
it'd be interesting. I like it at Phoenix. I've never had a problem with Phoenix. I think Phoenix puts on a good race.
Yeah.
I thought that Phoenix put on a good race in the 7th generation car. I think you get pretty competitive racing at Phoenix. Kansas, I think Kansas would be great for it. I think Kansas would kill it. Kansas puts on a playoff race in Kansas is always high drama. It's big, it's wide, it's fast. You got 3 to 4 lanes to choose from. Competitive racing lines across through both corners, or both sets of corners. I could make a compelling case for Kansas. Maybe Atlanta gets that. Maybe Atlanta's second gate gets moved to the. Atlanta could be an option. It could be maybe it's Phoenix, Kansas, Atlanta, Miami. That would be. But I don't know if NASCAR would want a drafting race to be the final race of the year. An already chaotic wild card race becomes even more chaotic and utterly that could be unwatchable because of the way that just the absolute slams that you would see, big runs, huge runs all day long. You could have 40 cars, you could have 38 cars in the garage by the end of the race. You 38 torn off race cars. I don't know if Atlanta would be considered. Texas, I don't like the racing at Texas. It's boring. You can't once you get after 3 laps of green flag racing, everybody is 2 seconds apart, and the top 10 is strung out by 10 seconds. And we're watching the battle for 16th through 23rd because it's the best action on the track. And Texas doesn't even put on a good playoff race, because that's the thing that makes Kansas. Kansas puts on a decent race, but Kansas playoff races are incredible because there's so much drama at a Kansas race. Martinsville already has a playoff date, and so I don't see Martinsville getting in that unless they want to move. Unless they're going to make Martinsville that final race. Again, 38 cars of 500 laps of carnage for the title. I don't know if NASCAR is that desperate.
I saw that Max won driver of the year for F1.
Yep.
Again,
heard that too.
No shocker there.
No.
Oh wow, really? What a shock!
And he won the world championship as well, right?
Like a month ago, yeah.
I think I heard that too. I think I heard that.
Yeah, that some bitch locked up in early November. Yeah, it was over with 3 races to go. When we had that weekend, the Vegas weekend, we talked about that he could win if he finishes 5th or better. It's all over. It's all over about the crying. He finished 5th, and there wasn't any there. He mathematically locked up the championship. All he had to do was start the last 3 races, and he was the champion.
Were you guys okay with Travis Hunter winning the Heisman?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't surprised. I thought you could go to Travis Hunter or Janty from Boise State.
Yeah.
One of the two. It was a 2-man race.
Travis Hunter to me, man. I love, as great as Janty was, just playing the whole game, physically, the toll that it takes, playing both sides of the ball at that high of a level. He was top 5 at both positions. It's so rare. The best players in high school, some of them do that, no doubt. But to play that in big games every week, he didn't miss a snap. That sets him apart from everyone. I mean, I think he's well deserved to get it. Travis.
Well, steal my thunder, why don't you?
Just so rare. No one's done that in years. I mean,
since Charles.
It's crazy, and to be equally dynamic at both, not just a decent defender and a star receiver, or you know what I mean. He does both at the absolute highest level.
Yeah,
he'd be a great pro at either one. That's just
honestly.
The pros, if the Giants or someone takes him, or the Jets, some pro team will let him play both. I would have him play both offense and defense.
I would think about it for sure.
Yeah.
Like a cyborg, the guy doesn't get tired.
I would think about it. I would think about playing on both sides and kind of see which he naturally gravitates to in the NFL. No, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's Janty had a damn good season for a running back.
Yeah.
But Hunter had a damn good season for a receiver. and a damn good season for a cornerback. And I think the fact that in any other year, either of those positions, he would have had an award-winning season at both of those.
Yeah.
But to do it to win both an offensive award and a defensive award for the best receiver and best corner in the country,
Amazing.
and then
Yeah.
I think that doing both of those things simultaneously is more than deserving of the Heisman. If you're going to give it to someone of a year where you're not going to give it to a quarterback and you're not going to give it to a player that made the playoffs, I think
Yeah.
this is that's the only reason that Hunter wins this award.
And like you said, it's tough. Every year you can't. I said it on Lou's show last week, I think, but it's like a Lamborghini or a Porsche, either way, or Ferrari. Like it's some of it's Jordan or Bird or Magic or Bird, like the debates through the years of best athlete in the sport.
Yeah.
There's so many candidates to have, like just to be in the top 2 or 3. It's corny but true. Only one can win. So like Genty's deserving, but Hunter was such a rarity. Like what he accomplished was so rare. It's just the edge.
Yeah.
But like other years, like you said, Adam, Genty's deserving. It's so tough. You can only have one actual winner.
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
just like elite players. You
Yeah.
can only have one.
If there was ever a year for co-Heisman,
Yeah.
if they could do co-Heisman, I think that, this is one of the few years where, there wasn't a quarterback with blow you out stats. Genty was the only player with blow you out stats at running back or blow you away stats at running back. And then Hunter has blow you away stats at receiver and blow you away stats at corner. And playing against tough competition in big games, making plays in big moments. I think that I don't see how you can be mad at Hunter winning the Heisman this year over Genty. In any other year, Genty wins the Heisman going away. Unfortunately for him, he just happened to be in the year that Hunter played both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
If Hunter plays receiver, yeah, he finishes 5th and Genty wins it going away. If Hunter plays corner, he finishes 3rd and Genty wins it going away. But he played both sides of the ball. He played like 98% of the snaps. Like the only stats he didn't play were stats in blowouts. Blowout wins, blowout losses.
Yeah.
He played deep into the 4th quarter in every game. He went both ways. Like there were several games where he played every single snap.
Yeah.
And he played like 98 snaps overall. So I'm not mad at Hunter for winning the award. In a regular year, in a traditional year where you had a quarterback you had a quarterback with a great season, a running back with a great season, and a wide receiver with a great season, Genty wins. Or if in a typical year where you don't have a great quarterback, a quarterback that's just lighting it up week in and week out, averaging 4 touchdowns, 350 yards and 0 interceptions or 1 interception.
Right.
In a year where you have a middling quarterback field and a middling receiver field and one defender that's just lighting everything up and he finishes top 5, Genty wins going away. Unfortunately, this was the year where you had a guy play both sides of the ball, light it up on both sides of the ball.
Well, and then also too, the reason that Boise State is in, and again, this has something to do with the Heisman, but the reason that Boise State's in there is because of Gentry. He was the whole offensive side of the ball. That's why they're in the playoff.
Absolutely.
And they won the Mountain West. Is because of that reason. They hands down. But again, it kind of sucks. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but a lot of time the guy that wins the Heisman, they're usually not. Their team is not in the playoff. It's interesting.
Traditionally, I mean, Jaden Daniels looks poised to definitely buck that trend. But yeah, traditionally, it hasn't been a sure shot.
Yeah.
I know there's no sure shot. Just look at Caleb Williams. I've been ripping that guy since he got drafted, but I mean, yeah. So you're right. In a lot of them, I know Daniels won it, but yeah, it's no sure shot once you get the Heisman.
No, it's like a curse. It's kind of like when the hockey team wins the President's Cup trophy, and then you bum out in the playoffs. Same thing here. You're under a curse.
The Madden curse, where the cover athlete has some wicked injury the following season.
Hmm.
Christian McCaffrey, the newest victim.
Jesus.
Just tough.
Well,
It's just literally only one guy can win.
Folks.
So you got to. Gentry obviously is going to take the best. I forget the name of it, but the best running back award. And then he'll watch a team like the Cowboys get him. Perfect. They need a running back. Yeah, he's going to be a heck of a player.
He's a running back for sure.
Yeah. I think he'll, well, in terms of consolation prizes, going and winning a national title is a pretty good one.
That's still in play as well.
And I think, individual awards are great. Anyone who says, "Oh, I'd rather win," would you rather win it? Anyone who says, "Oh, I'm not worried about individual awards," lying to themselves or lying to us, because those things do matter. You do care about winning individual awards.
He was amped that he lost that.
But you still have the opportunity to go win a national title, win team awards, and at the end of the day, it's a team sport. Unfortunately, those individual awards do matter to the individual. And anyone who says, "Oh, I'm not worried about winning individual awards," they're lying to themselves or lying to us.
It's still an incredible recognition just to be in that Heisman, hopeful, to be in that stage.
Yeah, the conversation.
That elite company is still just an incredible accomplishment too. It's
to be in that conversation.
I mean, you can only give it to one guy. I mean,
Hunter,
a tough season to have to go vie against a talent like Hunter, where that just the two-way play never happens. But this year, it's bad luck for Genty. Other years he would have won.
And in a year where the only thing that I would say is that I think Brad was right when he said Genty was the reason why Boise State is in the playoffs, and why they're the 3 seed, why they won their conference titles. That's the case to make for Genty. But other than that, I think Hunter individual, because this is an individual award, it's not a team award, right? This is the most valuable player to a team, and if this was a team award, I think that you give it to Genty because it's he was the most valuable player on any team. But it's an individual award. It's supposed to be the best player in college football. And I think that Travis Hunter was the best player in college football this year. He was the best individual player at any position this year. And he happened to play too.
Yeah.
I think both will be sensational pros.
I think both guys can be sensational at the pro level. I think the thing about it is that they just have to put the work in, and I say that about all players, all top 5, top 10, top 15 pick. Any picks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're pick 1 or you're pick 290, 250, whatever it is now. 264, 259, whether you're the most relevant, Mr. Relevant, or Mr. Irrelevant, if you don't put the work in.
Brock Purdy.
Of course, yeah.
Right, because how many
it's a hard road to get up to the Heisman heights. Like they're busting their every day in the weight room and running conditioning and just studying tape. I mean, Genty, he's a one-man wrecking crew, like Brad said. He's a one-man army. He got Boise State back on the map as a running back, not a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think they'll both be. They should be top 5, top 10 picks. I know Hunter's like top 3 or something. The mock drafts, just elite, awesome talents, both of them. It would have been great if it was a co Heisman, but alas, there's only one.
Alas, there is only one.
Well, then you guys got to throw in, if you're going to talk about picks, you got to throw Shedeur Sanders in that conversation too.
Yeah,
oh, sure.
Sanders is a bust in the making.
And the Giants there's rumblings so annoying. The Giants, there's rumblings in like the local, like New York, Jersey, it's same market as Lou, but like sports radio and stuff is like fans are like, tank for Shedeur.
Oh,
that'd be
sure.
so annoying.
Yeah, we are.
Giants with Shador and Neighbors. They the reason why they were Shador, Sanders, and Neighbors are the LSU wideout on the Giants. They're apparently good friends.
Yeah.
They were like hanging out and tossing the ball around. So teams are tanking now. The Giants sure as heck are tanking. The Jags. I mean, Brad, what do you think about that? I know it's random, but I wanted to ask you now, since we're live. What do you think about all the stuff, all the injuries with Trevor Lawrence? Should they draft a QB? I mean,
Well,
What
I
do you
mean, well, let me throw that back at you, bud. Would you
Yeah.
consider him a bust so
I
far?
think he's really good. I think he was overhyped. So it's like not quite a bust to me is a strong word.
Yeah, he was.
That makes sense. Bust is a little strong, but it's kind of like he
He
hasn't
hasn't.
he hasn't cashed in on all that investment. Money
No,
wise,
he hasn't.
number one overall pick, and then they just like built a new facility and stadium, all this stuff for him. And
They're getting ready to build him.
obviously the richest player in franchise.
I agree. He's not a bust, but
He's the face of the Jags. They've built everything around him, like marketing and commercials, sponsors. Like, yeah, it's hard to. He's just not fulfilling what all the hype was about. I'd give him like a
No.
B plus, and if you're that guy, you should be like an A plus. If you're an Elway or like any of these Lamar or Mahomes, like he's like a B or B plus. I don't know, and then he's injured an awful lot. I don't know.
You're grading on a soft curve because I have him as a C for the last.
B maybe or C plus. You got him C plus, Adam?
Yeah, I have him.
C,
No, C.
Yeah, he
I
just
have him
hasn't
at a
really-
C.
hasn't
He just
walked the
hasn't
walk yet.
lived up to the hype.
He hasn't
Well,
walked the walk. Nope.
when- when-
matter. He hasn't done it.
no.
When he was 2018, 2017, whenever they won their national title with him. And
Yeah.
he was the odds-on favorite to be the number 1 overall pick.
Cover
And,
child for everything. Cover boy.
He was the face of college football, and he was the next. He had that one he looked like, and then there was all that the one girl that he looked like, and everybody's talking about that, and he was the next great one, and he was gonna come in and he was gonna fix whoever he ended up, he ended up going to Jacksonville, and it was like, well, I said he wasn't NFL material, and already Clowney's like, you don't know what you're talking about. He's the consensus number 1 overall pick. He's gonna be this. He's gonna be that. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Here we sit, and everybody's like, is he a bust? I'm like, he's not a bust. He's just not he just wasn't NFL ready. He needed 3 years behind. He needed to go to a program where he could sit and learn the NFL game, and he got sent to the Wolves. He got thrown to the Wolves.
Yeah.
One of the Wolves were like,
And now
Peterson, I thought Peterson worked wonders, not with Wentz, most so with Foles, but like he's known as like a quarterback friendly, like a good guy with quarterbacks. I thought they had everything set up. They've had weapons: Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Brian Thomas. Now the Jaguars have had really good weapons. ATN, but he just hasn't. Yeah, maybe even a C. I don't know. And they're on the hook with him. They're locked into him for the next like 6 more years, right?
Yeah.
Something crazy.
And I'm not saying that they need to dump him. I don't think that drafting the quarterback is the right move. I kind of think you ride it out. I don't think he's bad, but I agree with Brad. He hasn't lived up to the hype. The hype train that came rolling in. They spent all that. They're going to invest. They invested all that money in the stadium to get it up to code. And now they're going to build. Now they're going to knock that sumbitch down and move and build a new one.
Yep.
Yeah. And like you were saying, they spent all that money on the facility to get the facility up to snuff because they had this number 1 overall quarterback coming in, and they were coming off 2 years after an AFC championship game. You get a national championship, number 1 overall quarterback to build your program around. And the problem in Jacksonville was Blake Bortles, right? Everybody said, "Oh, Jacksonville, if they just had a good quarterback, a competent quarterback, they'd be a perennial playoff team. They compete for Super Bowls." Right? And Trevor Lawrence, they go out and they get Trevor Lawrence, and this is they make us, they make a splash. Hey, we're 2 years. He had some injury issues, and we're 2 years.
Seemed like a no-brainer at the time. Seemed like a no-brainer.
We're 2 years removed from. Excuse me. We're 2 years removed from an NFC Championship game. It looks right. It feels right. And then you just get to the league, and everything's just that much harder. And it's something that I say all the time is that so many guys, so many of these guys get into the league, and when you play college ball, when you play Pop Warner, you might be the only 5-star guy on the field. When if you're a Jamarcus Russell or a Trevor Lawrence or a John Elway, those type of guys, a Ryan Leaf, everything comes easy to you, and you don't got to work. And you get to high school, and you might play one other 5-star guy each week, and they might not even be on your side of the ball. You might be the only 5-star on the field in a given week. And then you get to college, and there's 5-stars sprinkled throughout. And there's a 5-star linebacker and a 4-star corner and a 5-star DN, and now you're playing against real competition, and you can get away with a lot still in college. But then you get to the pros, and everybody's a 5-star. Everybody's a blue chip. Everybody's a top prospect.
Yes.
And it just and each level gets that much harder. Like Pop Warner to high school is that much harder. High school to college is that much harder. College to pros is that much harder. And the greatest of all time, the Bradys, the Mannings, the Montanas, the Marinos, the Elways, whoever, you can go all the way back to like Len Dawson, Kenny Stabler, Johnny Unitas, Y.A. Tittle, Bronco Nagurski. Those guys all worked that much harder. And when you get to a certain point, you can only work so hard. And especially when you're Trevor Lawrence, and I don't know the man. I don't know his mental state. I don't know how he, never talked to him. You're probably never going to get to talk to him. But as an outside observer, it's got to be frustrating when you get to the point in your career where you've been in the league for 5 or 6 years, and you can't seem to do a damn thing right. And you work so hard, you show up early, you stay late, you study hard, you're out on the, you train hard, and then you're on the shelf for 3 to 5 weeks, twice a year. You miss 8 games a year because you're hurt, because management doesn't know how to draft a left tackle. Management goes, they want to go out and get all these flashy star receivers and these big name running backs, and they make splashes in free agency. And I don't care how good you are, you can't win games looking up at the sky.
I agree. I wanted to talk to you guys about, before we can close the show out with talking about this.
I'm still on. I'm just moving around a bit, guys.
No, you're good.
Well, no, Alex, I was going to ask you about this.
It
looks like to me that both Pinellas County and the city of St. Petersburg has approved the financial bonds for the new stadium.
Yeah.
Raise.
Love to catch a game.
And here's and Adam hit it a couple weeks ago when he said this.
Yeah.
I'm starting to agree with this. Why are you going to pay $200 million to fix the Trop? It's damaged. You can look at the photos of what Hurricane Milton did to that complex.
Devastation.
But my thought is, why not just tear it down now?
Yeah.
Make some kind of financial deal with the Yankees. Play in Tampa the next 3 years at Steinbrenner Field. I call it Legends Field because I grew up and that's what it was called.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been to that park.
They renamed it to Steinbrenner Field after George Steinbrenner. We all know, who he is, what he did for the city of Tampa. I mean, guys, there's a high school named George M. Steinbrenner High School in Tampa.
Oh, it's got a huge presence there. A ton of Yankee fans.
He did for the Tampa Bay area. There's a high school named after him in Tampa. But what the question now is, they've got the bonds approved. Now it's in Stu Sternberg's court. Hearing local radio today, this is a conspiracy theory. Again, this is not written down. This is just a conspiracy theory in
Yeah.
mind.
Mhm.
What they said today is the reason that Sternberg didn't want the deal to get done is because he doesn't have the money to finance the team moving forward. If that is true. Now, again, this is just conspiracy theory. I have no
Conjecture.
like hardcore byline, headline
It's a possibility.
to
Yeah.
back this up. But anyway, they say that he doesn't have enough money. That's why the Rays keep trying to back out of the deal. He doesn't have the money that he told them he was going to put up for the new stadium. That's why they keep delaying everything. So here's my thing. The county commission, some of the commissioners in Pinellas County, which is the county that I live in Florida, they met with Rob Manfred, which is the commissioner of baseball. He doesn't want the Rays moving out of the market.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay market is the 11th largest TV market in the United States. Again, it's not in the top 5, not in the top 10.
But it's very
but
solid.
we're almost there. We're getting close to the top 10
Yeah.
in the country. So it's a thriving sports mecca. And we have 2 good franchises already here. You have the Lightning, who continue to win, which they won tonight, 3-1 against St. Louis, and the Bucks are on the rise as well.
Baker's back. Yep. They're
Right.
very
Yes.
popular now. They're
And
made their
the- and the
mark. And they're
Lightning-
back. Yeah.
The Lightning and the Bucks have had, past experiences, past years where they're good, and they've been good consistently.
Yeah.
The Rays have also been consistently good for the last 5 years up to this year. This past year where they had a bad season. But
So bad. So many injuries though. But yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, do you believe that Sternberg doesn't have the money? Is that the reason why everything has gone to shit?
I think so. Yeah. It
Or
seems like
number
a pretty
2,
tangible reason.
If
I
he
think
doesn't
so.
have the money,
Yeah.
who in the world is well, here's the thing. The stadium deal is part of the gas plant district. Of course, if you guys don't know, if you don't live in the area, back in the day in St. Pete, that's where all the natural gas was brought up, and they had factories in that area that conserved it and then let it out, whatever, to be used properly. Well, it's not that anymore. Now there's houses and hotels and stuff around Tropicana
Yeah.
Field. The county commission stopped Sternberg from moving the team out of St. Pete or even Tampa or Florida in general and still making money on that deal because he was still going to be in line to make money even if the Rays moved out of Tropicana Field. He was going to make money because
Wow.
the stadium, his team is leasing that field from the county
Yeah.
The county's the landlord, the Rays are the tenant. So if everything goes through, which now everyone in the county and the city have approved financial bonds, so now the stadium could be it's moving forward. Now it's back in Stu's thing. So again, if he doesn't have the money,
Okay.
who's going to step up and buy the team, number one, and number two, why would you go through with all of this and then at the end of this deal go, yeah, you know what, I don't have the cash to continue to run this team the way it should be run because they've already gotten rid of big contracts. Jeffrey Springs got traded. They're trying to trade other pieces.
Oh yeah. Isaac Paredes, Randy Rosarina, the list, and then it's not even to name all the guys through the years, from Crawford to Shields to all the pitching. David Price. I mean, it's endless. Oh, it's every year. Yeah, it's sad. I think Manfred's calling his bluff and seeing if he doesn't pay, he could try to strip his ownership, get someone else in here to run it. He's like calling him out.
Yeah, that's what I heard on the radio today. That I was listening to the radio this morning, and they interviewed one of the commissioners that was against the deal in the beginning, and now is for it. He voted for it. So what happened is he got on the radio today and said, the reason I voted against it the first time is they have tried to screw us out of money if he moves the team out of here. I'm not going to agree to that. If he wants to stay, we're more than welcome to have him here. but he's not going to move the team out of here and then make money off of the land deal that we have in place. So again, it's back in his
So-
court. It's back in Stu's court again. But
Okay.
yeah,
So that 200 million, is that for the repairs?
yeah, but that's
So,
for
yeah.
repair.
How did that go up? Because that's 150 million in the first estimate. Where the hell did that other 100? Where the hell did that 150 million come from?
They, after doing their
Further review, maybe it's just
estimate,
more.
it's that because again, as you guys know, that stadium is not grass; it's an indoor stadium. So any
Okay,
damage
so
from
Yeah.
the outside, so you have to replace the roof, you have to replace all the seats and the grass, and everything has to be repaired because it's all been
Okay,
hit
okay.
by the outside elements. If you want, if
that has from the last 3 months where the stadium's been open to the
correct,
elements.
correct. So the
Okay.
scoreboard is going to have to be brand new. All of the electronics
I
stadium have to be redone. So again, but the reason that I brought this up is you hit it on the head a couple shows ago. Why not just tear the damn thing down
Yeah.
now
and start over.
building the new stadium, and then you can open up instead of opening in 2030, you open in 2028 or 2027, and you open it up and let them, if they decide to stay here. But I mean, that's not that. I mean, that's my thought process is why would you band-aid something that you're going to tear down in 2 years anyway?
Yeah, it's not even worthy
Cool.
of. And I like the Trop. It gets a bad rap, but I think it's a lot of fun. We had a good time going there, but like,
Yeah.
and I've been there a couple times with my dad through the years. It's right there. It's the Tampa, Sarasota area. I think it's a blast, but I guess league wide, right? For professional stadiums where they just have monopoly money to play with, it could be better, right? The facilities, the playing field. You're seeing, you see Vlad Guerrero or someone visit and bomb one and it hits the roof and bounces back. It's like, come on, guys.
Well-
So there's some major flaws that need upgrading, but if they're going to start over, it's not good. It's not nice enough. It's not worthy enough to rebuild from scratch. So I agree. Start anew and maybe get the attendance. It's the location is the key because the traffic is awful. And then, you got as many Red Sox or Yankee fans there, a lot of Oriole fans, a lot of everywhere, Mets fans. It's so whatever you want to call it, diverse because so many people have retired there or moved there from other baseball hotbeds.
Oh.
So there's a lot of other fans along with the Tampa fans. So the attendance is always going to be spotty, but the commute is apparently just brutal. You live out there. I mean, I could tell it's getting in and out is really tough. And then
I
just
can
a big dome air conditioning in the summer heat.
Well,
it's a little bit
Yeah.
not an ideal setup.
I can tell you, yes, it is. And I mean, from either a fan or a press member, it doesn't matter where you're sitting at. If you are there for the entire game and if you leave early, or say you leave right as the game ends, it is an absolute pain in the ass. You're going to be waiting in that parking lot for, I don't know, a good 30,
45 minutes.
before
At
you get out.
least. Yeah, at least.
So,
Yeah.
because the traffic getting out of the stadium is not set up to let that many people back out onto the roads like that.
Southern
So,
Giants
Yeah.
game.
yeah, well, and you were talking about, the stadium. The Astros were here. I got to see the Astros play them this year, and
Yeah.
Jordan Alvarez, their big hitter, during BP hit a home run and bounced it off the scoreboard and knocked the scoreboard out.
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
The scoreboard was out for the entire game. It was funny
Yeah.
watching them try to reset the damn thing, and it never came back on. So
It's just tough.
Yeah, I
They're cutting
remember.
corners financially at all times, and they've had. But then they cut corners. They don't spend, so they lose. But they're so brilliant and so good at getting awesome talent. They have the best
And then
scouting,
dumping
the
it.
best development with these young pitchers. Every year they have new guys that are really good. So it's just
And
imagine them with money. Tampa could be a powerhouse. They've always
Well,
been,
and,
they've been good with no money for years.
I think if you're saying if we're gonna conspiratorial talk, he doesn't have the money to finance the team long term.
Get a new owner, man. Watch out. Rest of the league.
Well, I don't know about if you need a new owner. What you need is cash inflow. You need investors. You got to attract investors. You don't necessarily have to sell the team or even sell shares. You can put shares up, but the problem is that you have to. The thing about owning a business and running a business and having new investors being willing to invest in they have to be you have to be able to convince them that they're going to see a return on their investment. So if he doesn't have the $200 million to, if he's funding it week to week to week with what he has available now, and $200 million is going to be too much to sustain long term, me personally, I just don't see the point in investing $200 million in a stadium that's going to be gone in that's going to be unoccupied in 3 years. Because the thing about it is that when the season ends in 2026, if that new stadium isn't ready, you have to do all your winter maintenance to shut the stadium down and get it closed up for and then over the course of the winter to do and then get it ready again in April to host baseball games. And so the maintenance on the stadium, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it to rebuild it. And because obviously 2025 is lost because they waited until now to get the millage support done. If you had they have been able to get the money right now and get started on the day after the hurricane rolled through, get the stadium dried out, get the wiring, get the roof rebuilt, get everything rewired, get new stage seats in, get the old seats out, do all the repairs that needed to be done, and have it ready to go for 2026. I could see spending, okay, we're going to spend the $50 million to get it done, because if the new stadium isn't ready in 2027 or 2028, and it's going to be pushed out till 2030 or 2029, then yeah, that kind of makes sense. But if everything is on track to be ready for opening day 2028, why not just save the $200 million for the city?
Yeah.
Why and invest that in downtown renovations and attracting businesses to the downtown or to the St. Pete, right?
St. Pete.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, to the St. Pete area, so that traffic so that you can diversify that traffic and create opportunities for the business owners to attract business owners into that area of St. Pete, so that traffic isn't all trying to just go somewhere else, where that traffic has outlets, things to do, bars, clubs, theaters, late night entertainment, not even necessarily adult entertainment, just things to do in that area, so not everybody is just leaving. Food and entertainment and shopping, late night shopping after the ball game, that generates more revenue for the area over the course of the evening playing. Because that was one thing that Detroit did. The Red Wings, that they had a problem because the Tigers always played afternoon games on Sunday. So, game gets over between 3 and 5, generally closer to, like 4:30, game gets over. People stay in the downtown area, they shop, they spend, and everybody goes. And so you don't have that wave of 50,000 people just trying to get out of the area. So the big problem with the Wings had and local businesses had is that on a Sunday night or on a Saturday night, especially Sunday night, the game would start at 7 and get over about 7, 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on how good the game was, if they were winning like the overtime or a shootout or whatever. And the local businesses were complaining that they weren't seeing the revenue generated on a Sunday night like they would like with a Tigers game or with a Lions game. Even when the Lions were bad, it still generated a decent profit when you had 40,000 people downtown. So what the Wings, the business owners of the downtown area went, like the Greektown and Motor City and the other casino, which always, I forget which one's the other one in downtown Detroit, but they went to the league they went to the Red Wings and said, "Hey, is there any way we could get earlier games on Sunday night?" And the Wings went to the league and said, "Is there any way we could get earlier games on Sunday night? Because our business partners in the area want to be able to generate revenue, and they're not getting the revenue they'd like to see." And so the league looked at it, and the Wings looked at it, and like, yeah, we'll play games at 5 o'clock. We'll start our games at 5 o'clock. It'll be 7:30. The game's over. People still can stay out later because baseball, football, hockey. Jesus Christ, hockey is played in the fall and spring. So most of the games are played during school season. So kids,
Right.
so parents with kids had to get them home so that they could get to bed, finish homework, and you might hit like a McDonald's, if you're out in Romulus or if you're in Hamtramck or if you're in the Heights, you got a 25, 30-minute drive. Schoolcraft is Redford, Inkster, all the suburbs of Detroit that people had moved to, since Joe Louis had been built. They people weren't staying in the downtown area because they had to get back to the suburbs, and so the Wings and the league and the other teams that might be coming into Detroit, and it was a huge boon for teams that were coming in and getting out. You're on a plane at 7:30, flying back to California, St. Louis, New York, Tampa, wherever you're on your team, you're on your game gets it over at 7:30. You're washed and changed, you're showered and changed by 8, and you're on the team flight back to wherever you're from by 8:30. 9 o'clock at the latest, as opposed to it being 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, especially in Detroit when from October to April you could have 6 inches to a foot of ice, let alone snow. So, if I was on the city council in Tampa, my thing would be about taking that $200 million and investing it in the downtown area to bring in businesses.
Try that, sorry, Adam, but yeah, no, that's nailing it on the head. Haven't they been trying that though a couple times? They've rebuilt like that area, right, Brad, with more nightlife and.
Well, part of the stadium deal is that they're going to build hotels, shopping centers.
That's
The problem
huge,
with Tropicana Field is, and Alex can tell you this because he's been there with me, is you have to drive 2 miles into St. Pete to have any nightlife or the stuff after the game.
It should be right there.
When you are, and I'm not saying every baseball fan is like this, but if you've had a few at the game, you don't want to drive 2 miles in when you want to be able to go, you want to be able to go nearby in case you do get over drunk or whatever you want to call it. You don't have to go that far, and you don't have to risk getting a DUI by driving 2 miles into the city, because if you leave the stadium, obviously there's cops everywhere.
Yeah,
They're looking for people. So that's the one thing that the other thing that the Rays have never done in retrospect to the other two with the Buccaneers and the Lightning. And again, maybe it's because the Bucks and the Lightning play in Tampa, not in St. Pete, is they've never gotten any corporate revenue. There's no corporations investing their money into the Rays. Nobody. It just doesn't happen. Where the Bucks have Raymond James, the Lightning have Amway Oil.
Amway is
so those are corporate. The corporates, the sponsors are helping the owners run the team. They're factoring in and going, okay, well, you want your name on our stadium? Okay, well, you have to pay us $300 million. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so, I don't know how much Tropicana pays to be on the side of the building.
I'm not. That I don't know.
But and the other thing, the thing about baseball, baseball is such a long damn season. You get 41 home games.
81.
81. Or 81. 81. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm bad at math. why I don't have a math job. Um,
Join the club.
Okay.
but when you have 81
I can
home
help.
games, and and the thing that when you have a team like every other team in the majors wins 90 games, and they sell out 72 of those games, like the first 10 games, like maybe you say the first 10 games in Detroit or Chicago or New York don't sell out because it's cold and it's nasty in April. So people,
Yeah.
people might say, people aren't coming out to those games. So you might have, after opening day in New York or Detroit or Chicago, like Cincinnati, Cleveland, um, Philadelphia, opening day, those games sell out. But then after opening day, until you get to May or late April, those games may not sell out. But Tampa Bay is
No.
a dome stadium, so it's not like they have to deal with weather. The problem is that nobody goes to the game. It doesn't matter
No,
whether
that is
No,
they go 81 they go 81-0 at home, and they average 22,000 fans a night. Even opening day, even opening day across the majors, you've got 30 some odd sellouts, 28 sellouts. The only teams that don't sell out are Tampa, Miami, and
yeah. You'd think just a prime location would do that though. I mean, would sell out more.
they have a
but
better location, better attendance, but it's still you're gonna have a lot of transplants. You go to a Boston or Yankees game, there's
Yeah.
gonna be half of those
Uh-huh.
fans, maybe sometimes I even swear it's 60% of the opposing team in the stands because so many people it's a melting pot around the stadium
Yes, true.
of fandom
well,
of people from different areas with fandom of from there's grandparents that are Cardinals fans that'll take their grandkids to see the Rays Cardinals on a Saturday
Yeah.
when the
and they're going
grandkids
as
when the grandkids are visiting.
and the grandkids aren't going as Rays fans; they're going as Cardinals fans.
It's such a mix. Yeah, it's not a dead ringer. There's not going to be 80 or 90%.
No.
If you go to Fenway, you're going to see all Pedro and Ortiz jerseys. If you go to a Tampa game, you might see plenty of Jeter and Rivera jerseys because there's a lot of New York transplants.
And you'll see Jeter and Cabrera and
Sure.
Otani. You'll have a smattering of jerseys from across the league
Which could be fun. Yeah,
when you go to Tampa. When you go to
so there's a
when you
mix
go
of
to the
fans, which is cool. I think.
well,
But there's awesome. Brad's a great fan. There's plenty of there's some really cool some knowledgeable hardcore. It's a really good team. I think it's frustrating. I wish they just had more money because they always get really good players. They got good fans. They're missing the money.
The problem is that so many of those like the when did Tampa when was Tampa awarded the franchise? 92?
Money's the part of the equation that's falling short.
1998.
What?
1998.
98. Okay, so
Rays, sorry.
yeah. The Rays got there. They didn't get
that's
a
for the
right.
Lakers.
The Tampa Bay didn't get awarded a franchise until 98. And that's 25 years ago now.
That's way back,
26?
old school. Canseco was there early on. Some awesome
Yeah.
guys. That was the expansion days.
But the problem is that Canseco was washed. So
Yeah,
many of
yeah.
those guys, when you get an expansion franchise and you get a guy like Canseco, he's
Couple
washed.
big names to bring in people. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not great players anymore. They're in the twilight of their career. They're washed up.
He wasn't
There
guy
has
the
been
Bash brother no more.
Right.
there never wases. You get a whole bunch of never wases and never gonna be's and washed up superstars and guys that are 3 steroids away from a roid rage incident, and especially at that time. And the problem is you can't generate a long lasting fan base from fans of other teams. Like Brad's a Red Sox fan because he was already in his 20s when they finally got a franchise. His dad, like so many like Philly and Pittsburgh and Detroit and Chicago and Boston and New York and even the teams out west that were awarded franchises long ago, like the Giants and San
Colorado.
Francisco and Dallas. No, Colorado's more of a name, more like Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with the franchise like Colorado is that so many, by the time they got a franchise like Tampa Bay, by the time they got a franchise, the people that live there had already picked a team. And that when you're not a good team, you don't generate interest in young people. For want of it, like the Knights, they were able to create a buzz and interest by being a good team.
Yeah.
So they were able to create
Great product immediately.
Young new fans that were interested. They went into a market that was hockey starved.
And if you think about it, hockey's a quick entertainment. The tourists will go there from like Czechoslovakia, Japan, let's say, a couple with a baby. They'll go to like, wow, a hockey game in Vegas. They'll go there on like a Thursday afternoon if they're in town for 4 days visiting.
It sure will.
Almost like an entertainment sport where it's working for Vegas. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's a tourist attraction.
No, it was.
Where a fan will just go there if they're not a fan of either team playing hockey. They'll just go to check out hockey. It's got that appeal to it.
But they were a good team, so it wasn't like you were going to watch bad hockey.
Vegas they were great right away. They were in the mix, the championship mix.
Mm-hmm. Unlike Tampa Bay or Colorado, like the Rockies, they weren't a good franchise right off the bat. So they didn't create a bunch of 8, 9, 10-year-olds that fell in love with the Rays.
That's a key difference.
The Yankees, all these guys that came from the Midwest and the Northeast that retired down there, that were all white collar guys that made big money in tech.
Yeah.
In the late 90s, that all moved down to Tampa to get away from the snow, or
they're snowbirds for the winter.
Oh, just moved down there. They made made millions of dollars in tech. All those tech millionaires that came out of the .com bubble, that moved out of Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Detroit, Chicago, all those upper Midwest cities, all those Northeast cities that moved down to the Tampa Bay area in the late 90s, early 2000s. They didn't come down there and become Rays fans. They stuck with Pittsburgh. They stuck with Boston. They stuck with Chicago. They stuck with Detroit.
Yep.
They stuck with New York, because the Rays weren't a good enough team to generate hype and interest in the team for a younger demographic. Their dads, their grandpas, their uncles, their aunts and sisters and brothers, they were all fans of the team from the home state. And so for Brad, he was a Red Sox fan, because by the time that Tampa Bay got a franchise, the Red Sox, he was already a well-established Red Sox fan. And so it wasn't like, in his early 20s, when Tampa Bay wasn't really a good team, there wasn't, he's a young guy in his 20s and he's in college. There's not a lot of nightlife. There are bars to go to. There are restaurants to go to. There's nothing exciting down there. It's built on an old gas reservation that's
the middle of nowhere.
And so it wasn't like putting a franchise in Vegas. That's a sports starved market. Putting a franchise in Utah, in Salt Lake, sports starved market. Tampa Bay has, unfortunately for Tampa Bay, unfortunately for Florida in general,
sports marketplace. Like Brad said, it's 11th or 10th.
Unfortunately,
there's activity. There's and then the college football element. There's a ton of younger 20-somethings and teenage sports fans. I mean, for most parts of Florida, you're gonna obviously football, baseball is huge. The Florida hockey teams have been awesome, very popular. Tampa's got potential. They need the right ownership.
The problem for Florida sports is that if you're not good, there's so much else to do.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, there's potential to get a good crowd. I think if they spend the money, they keep losing players though, and they got a stadium that's a pain in the ass to go to and leave. So it's like,
you look at
bad combo of things.
The other teams in Florida that if they're not a competitive team, they're attendance craters. The Heat, the Marlins, the Magic, the Bucks, the Rays, the Lightning, if they're not a hyper competitive team, and unfortunately for the Rays, even when they are a hyper competitive team, they can't draw
still
it.
limited attendance. Yep.
Like Miami, Miami has the Dolphins. If the Dolphins are good, they're gonna draw. If the Heat are good, they're gonna draw. If the Panthers are good, they're gonna draw.
The
Because
Marlins are an embarrassment.
and Miami, the Marlins, if the Marlins got good, they draw. They could sell out 3 times a week if they were good. They could sell out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, except if the Marlins were a competitive team.
They're so poorly run. That's a travesty. On a side note, that's got to be the most poorly run pro team right now, I think, in sports.
Yeah.
Anyone developed good under them is just see you later, or they just really don't care to win.
Yes.
They have no desire to win. It seems.
And my overarching point on all of this was that in other places and other locations that have franchises that have been well established for decades on decades, that when even when you're a bad franchise, it's hard to draw, but then you get to be good and you draw again. You can look at Boston, you look at New York,
Most of the time.
Chicago. When they're bad, they struggle to draw. When
Winning
they're
cures
good,
all.
no problem. Winning cures all. Winning's a great deodorant. But for Tampa, they don't have anything to generate hype about the team, to generate excitement in a younger generation. And I think, unfortunately for Tampa, they came in at the end of baseball. Baseball's popularity has waned. It has been waning since the 60s with the rise of football and the rise of basketball as America's top predominant sports. And unfortunately for baseball, and unfortunately for the Tampa Bay market, I don't see them being able to right the ship because we've seen it. Now, this new stadium, if this new stadium comes in and it's a gem and it's an absolute darling and they can create a traffic flow that's more easily manageable and they can play good baseball, they may be able to turn it around and generate 70 full stadiums a year, 80 full stadiums a year. Obviously, we don't know, kind of like with Bill Belichick, we don't know what's going to happen there. So, personally, in my opinion, save the $200 million, invest in the area, invest in traffic, invest in drawing in entertainment and businesses, knock down the Trop, build the new stadium, have it done in 2027, and start fresh in 2027.
Yeah.
They always have good prospects. Right now, MLB.com has them they have 3 of the best 10 young players every year. Just guys coming up through the system. It's remarkable. I don't know. It's just always been an issue there, the stadium and the funding. So it's hard how I see it's going to change for the better. They're just squandering a team right now. Brad, do you think a deal will get done or not? Is it just more BS where just nothing accomplished?
Well, like I said, the ball now is in Stu Sternberg's court because the county and the city have voted yes. They've approved all the financial stuff. So yeah, it's basically now it's all up to Stu Sternberg now, and unfortunately, he hasn't really drawn a very positive picture for the Rays fans. I honestly, he doesn't like to spend money on players. We all know that. And again, it's a low market team anyway. But he, like Alex says, you build these players up, they get good, you can't pay them, they go play in LA or New York or Boston or Philadelphia or wherever. They can get money.
Markets. It's like a feeder system. It's awful.
Right. And that's just unfortunate how
we help them become who they are. Now they can go enjoy their prime of their career. We're glad we could develop your talent for you. Since you have more money, you can just dominate our players and take everyone from us. Imagine that kind of culture, that kind of hierarchy. They're just like a servant. They help develop talent and then they wave goodbye to these guys.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Sternberg really, again, if the whole conspiracy theory, and I got to get off here, guys, soon. The whole
Okay.
Yeah, I
conspiracy
know.
theory is if he doesn't have the money to run the team, he needs to sell it so that the stadium deal can go through and the team can stay here. And if he doesn't want it here, then the city of Tampa needs to step up and go, okay, we can provide the financial assistance if you want to do it here in Tampa. But
Wow.
we'll have to wait and see how that all goes down. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
so
Good stuff
Lou, go
tonight,
ahead
guys.
before we get off. Go ahead and talk about your show.
Well, our show is now on break for the holidays. We just wrapped up last Saturday, and it was a doozy. We had a lot to cover. Now we in season 7, but January 4th we'll be back ready for season 8. So we'll
Nice.
cover as much of the bowl games we possibly can. We'll try. We'll focus, of course, on the major games. The first ever really college football playoff, the first real one, I guess you could say. NBA, the NFL playoffs will be just around the corner, so we'll get the last week of this regular season on that. Then we'll take care of the playoffs. We'll review the Heisman Trophy as well, which I did not come as a surprise. So you might have thought so, but I didn't. And of course, thoughts and comments always welcome. Also, I want your predictions of what you want, sports-wise speaking. What are you looking for in 2025 for your teams? So that'll be an interesting question when we resume. And number same as always, 512-543-4662 or 555 Giants suck. Well, they do. Sorry, guys. 512-543-4662 was the number. Remember, we start again January 4th, same time, same station, 4 to 6 p.m. Remember, that's East Coast time. If you forget, write it down somewhere. Refrigerator, front door, back of your car, wherever. Just find something.
Well,
And
yeah,
that
Write
note,
it on the back of your
Merry
eyelids.
you all.
well, guys,
you all good night.
I'm not going to be able to do a show next week. It's my aunt's birthday, and
Okay.
originally
Oh.
she was going to celebrate it on the weekend. She changed her mind. Is going to do it next week. So this will wrap up our 2024. So I want to say to you guys, thank you so much all year long. Gerald, I got to talk to him somehow, but thank you guys this year
Yes,
for
sure.
all the guests that we had. And the switch from StreamYard to Zoom. Adam, and I apologize, bud. I keep meaning to get with you on the weekends. It's been hectic to try to figure out how to get this thing to work more diligently. And anyway, guys, as always, before I end my show, thank you to our first responders, our men and women of our armed services. Thank you. Without you guys, we would not be able to do this. I want to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate, that's on you. But at the end of the day, happy holidays to you, gentlemen, as well. I will talk to you guys near future. We'll come back. I think our first show is January 3rd or something like that.
Sounds about right.
It's January 2nd.
Cool.
January 2nd, we'll have our first show back.
Yeah.
To get everything restarted. But until then, this has been the Walker Report. I am the Sports Nerd. Peace.
Prince,
To all, a
Good
good
show,
night.
Dan. Thanks,
I had
guys.
to do it.